Hello and welcome to our video on the top 10 countries and groups most likely to start World War III. With tensions rising between nations and conflicts arising in various regions, it's important to highlight those who possibly could be the reason of another war. We shall perish in this conflict, but I wonder who will start it. The United States of America. A complicated subject is the relationship between China, the United States, and Taiwan. Taiwan is a democracy on an island with a unique political, economic, and social framework. Formally, it is named as the Republic of China. Chinese government insists that Taiwan is a part of its territory, even though it hasn't ruled out using force to seize control of the island, while keeping unofficial ties with Taiwan. The United States, like the majority of states, recognizes the PRC as the only legal government in China. The United States has a long-standing policy of strategic ambiguity regarding Taiwan, which means that it does not formally recognize Taiwan as an independent country, but also does not support the use of force by the PRC to reunify Taiwan with the mainland. The U.S. has also a Taiwan Relations Act, which allows them to sell arms to Taiwan and ensure Taiwan's self-defense capability. The U.S. also regularly sends high-ranking officials to Taiwan, which is seen as a provocation by Beijing. The issue of Taiwan is a source of tension between the United States and China, and has the potential to escalate into a larger conflict. The U.S. has been concerned about the increasing assertiveness of China in the region and has been critical of Beijing's efforts to isolate Taiwan diplomatically. The U.S. has also been concerned about the human rights situation in Taiwan. It is important for all parties involved to continue to engage in dialogue and diplomatic efforts to maintain stability in the region. North Korea. The development of nuclear weapons by North Korea and its history of hostile words and actions have frightened the rest of the world. The country has come to be perceived as a threat to both regional and global peace and stability as a result of its development and possession of nuclear weapons, as well as its ballistic missile program. The leaders of the country have a reputation for inciting the military and speaking out in a hostile manner. The international world, especially South Korea and Japan, as well as the United States, have been extremely concerned about North Korea's nuclear weapons program. The U.S. mainland and its regional allies may be reached by the nation's nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. In an effort to put pressure on North Korea to denuclearize, the international community has imposed a series of sanctions through the United Nations. North Korea's government is known for being one of the most secretive and closed in the world, which makes it difficult to predict its actions or intentions. The country has been engaged in a number of diplomatic efforts to improve relations with other countries, but has also taken actions that have raised tensions, such as missile and nuclear weapons tests. It's important to note that peace and stability in the Korean Peninsula and the world is a multifaceted issue and requires the cooperation of multiple actors, including the international community and the government of North Korea. Russia. Russia, like any other country, has the potential to impact global peace and stability through its actions and policies. There are a number of reasons why some people may view Russia as a potential threat to the world, such as Russia's military capabilities. Russia has a large and well-equipped military, including nuclear weapons, and has been involved in conflicts in various regions around the world. Russia's foreign policy. Russia's foreign policy has been seen as assertive and interventionist by some, particularly in its actions in Ukraine and Syria. Cyber activities. Russia has been accused of engaging in cyber activities that have targeted other countries' political systems and critical infrastructure, which can disrupt and compromise the stability of these countries. Election interference. Russia has been accused of interference in the electoral process of other countries, which can disrupt the democratic process and create mistrust among nations. It's important to note that these reasons are not unique to Russia, and other countries have similar capabilities and have been involved in similar activities. The international community has imposed sanctions on Russia for its annexation of Crimea and its role in the conflict in Ukraine, and its human rights violation in Chechnya. It's worth noting that Russia, like any other country, has its own interests and priorities, and its actions are driven by a complex set of factors. It's important to approach the issue of Russia and its potential impact on global peace and stability with a nuanced understanding, and to engage in constructive dialogue and diplomatic efforts to address any concerns or conflicts. China. China, like any other country, has the potential to impact global peace and stability through its actions and policies. There are a number of reasons why some people may view China as a potential threat to the world, such as economic power. China's rapidly growing economy has made it one of the world's largest and most influential economic powers, which can have a significant impact on global trade and financial markets. Military capabilities. China has a large and well-equipped military, including nuclear weapons, and has been investing heavily in modernizing its armed forces. Foreign policy. China's foreign policy has been seen as assertive and interventionist by some, particularly in its territorial disputes in the South and East China Sea, and its territorial claims over Taiwan. Human rights. China has been criticized for its human rights record, particularly in Tibet, Xinjiang, and Hong Kong, and for restricting freedom of speech and press. Cyber activities. China has been accused of engaging in cyber activities that have targeted other countries' political systems and critical infrastructure, which can disrupt and compromise the stability of these countries. The international community has raised concerns about China's territorial claims, human rights record, and cyber activities. Iran. Iran has not been involved in a large-scale armed conflict for some time. There are a number of reasons why some people may view Iran as a potential threat to the world, such as nuclear program. Iran has been developing nuclear capabilities, which has raised concerns among other countries in the region and the international community about its potential use for military purposes. Support for non-state actors. Iran has been accused of providing support to non-state actors such as Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Palestine, which have been involved in conflicts with other countries in the region. Military capabilities. Iran has a large and well-equipped military and has been investing heavily in modernizing its armed forces. Foreign policy. Iran's foreign policy has been seen as assertive and interventionist by some, particularly in its actions in Iraq and Syria, and its role in the conflicts in the region. The country has been under a number of sanctions for its nuclear program and its human rights record, and it has been isolated from the international community for a long time. The international community is trying to engage with Iran through diplomatic efforts to address the concerns about its nuclear program and its role in the region. Israel. The conflict between Israel and its neighboring countries has been ongoing for decades and is the result of a complex web of historical, political, and religious factors. The main source of tension is the long-standing disputes over territory, borders, and the rights of the Jewish and Palestinian people. The conflict has also been fueled by extremist groups on both sides who advocate for violence and reject peaceful resolution. While Israel's actions and policies have certainly contributed to the ongoing conflict, It is important to understand that it is a multifaceted issue with a long history, and it cannot be attributed to any one single cause. ISIS. ISIS, also known as the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, is a terrorist organization that has been responsible for many acts of violence and destabilization in the region. They have been known to be the cause of war in the region. They have seized territory in Iraq and Syria, and have also carried out attacks in other countries. They are known for their brutal tactics, including mass killings, beheadings, and suicide bombings. The war in Syria and Iraq since 2011, which led to the rise of ISIS, was a complex conflict with many causes, including the civil war in Syria, the withdrawal of the U.S. troops from Iraq, the sectarian divisions and political instability in Iraq, and the role of regional powers. The emergence and activity of ISIS created an additional layer of violence and destabilization to the existing conflicts. It is important to note that, while ISIS has certainly been a major cause of violence and destruction in the region, it is not the only cause of war. Other factors, such as political and economic instability, ethnic and religious tensions, and the actions of other extremist groups, have also contributed to the ongoing conflict. Syria. The ongoing crisis in Syria has had a significant impact on the country, its people, the neighborhood, and the international community. The civil war in Syria, which began in 2011, has resulted in thousands of deaths and millions of displaced people. The nation has been devastated by the violence, which has destroyed cities and vital infrastructure in addition to impairing vital services like healthcare and education. There are a number of consequences of the Syrian conflict that could be dangerous for the entire world. The war has led to one of the biggest refugee crises in recent memory, as millions of Syrians have fled their country in search of safety and security abroad. This has caused stress on the bordering nations and has resulted in global population displacement. Violence spillover. The conflict has destabilized the region, and terrorism and violence have spread to nearby nations. Due to this, sectarian tensions have risen, and ISIS and other extremist organizations have been able to establish themselves in the area. International involvement. A number of international powers, notably the US, Russia, and Iran, have been involved in the Syrian crisis and have backed various factions. As a result, tensions between those nations have risen and the dispute may yet escalate further as a result. Humanitarian crisis. The war has touched millions of Syrians, many of whom have lost their homes, loved ones, and access to necessities like food and healthcare. It is important to note that the Syrian conflict is a complex issue with no easy solutions. The world community is still looking for a way to bring peace and stability to the country and help the Syrian people. India and Pakistan. Tension and war between India and Pakistan have a long and complicated history. Between the two nations, primarily over the contentious Kashmir area, there have been 4 major wars and countless lesser clashes. Recent years have seen a rise in tensions between the two countries as both sides have taken military action and accused the other of sponsoring terrorism. It is possible that a major conflict between India and Pakistan could have serious regional and international ramifications. Both countries possess nuclear weapons, and there is a concern that a war between them could lead to the use of nuclear weapons, potentially causing significant loss of life and widespread destruction. Additionally, the involvement of other countries in the region and internationally could lead to a wider conflict. The international community has actively sought to negotiate and resolve the conflicts between India and Pakistan, Thus it is important to keep in mind that there is minimal likelihood that a full-scale fight between them will start a worldwide conflict, despite possessing huge numbers of nuclear weapons. It's also crucial to remember that there have been ongoing discussions and initiatives to reduce tensions and maintain regional stability. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, share, and subscribe our channel for more videos.